What's happening, Wargamers? Welcome to the Meditations for Star Wars Shatterpoint, where we discuss the game we just played, and it has been a rare victory for me. Woo!
Yep.
Very interesting game. Very interesting game, because we've got two new squads on the table. We got the Bounty Hunters and we got the Handmaidens. Let's talk about the stuff that we felt a little let down about first. So I know you got some opinions here.
Yeah, personally, I'm very down on the Bounty Hunter support. I think Cad Bane felt pretty solid, although he's very force hungry for someone who's only bringing two to the table. Aura Singh did a lot of work this game. I'm pretty happy with her. But these guys, unfortunately, they seem to kind of fail me at most turns. They took out the Handmaidens, but even then, thinking back, we were forgetting about protection, and I think they barely got the Handmaidens.
No, I think when you went into the Handmaidens, you just really dummied them.
I remember that a little differently. I remember it being right on the edge, but we'll see.
Fair enough.
But then other than that, like the first turn out of the gate, they weren't able to get that single shove they needed on Padme to take the point on that first struggle.
Pivotal, man.
And that
Pivotal.
that was just one success for them, but they're only throwing 6 dice. Their conversion chart is kind of meh. And then near the end here, failing to do much. I mean, I was looking at them before the game started, and I said, like, I'm actually not very impressed by their tree, because even when they're throwing out 9 dice, in theory, they're getting a good amount of hits. But even their full tree, the best they can do is 5 damage.
You know where I think they would actually play a lot better than with the Super Commandos? Throwing them into a Confederate list with a colony or something like that, where they can pay the power to get Battle Droid and all of a sudden be putting in extra 5 dice attacks all over the place.
That wouldn't be too bad. I still feel like as a 4-cost unit, you'd be better with the B2s or even just the Magna Guards.
Well, I mean, the B2s are 3s.
B2s are 4s.
Oh, sorry. I'm saying B1s, yeah. The Magnas are 3.
Magnas are also 3.
Magnas are 3.
But that's what I mean. Even the 3-point Separatists, I feel a little better than them under Kalani as well. Mainly, like, the fact that their dash at the very start of the turn is pretty solid, but then the fact that they want to be focusing every turn to even throw a good number of dice, and then even if they get 2 or 3 successes, they're not getting much out of 2 or 3 successes.
No, their tree isn't the most impressive. I don't know. I said this kind of off camera, and I think what's going to happen is, like, you need to be very mindful of what squad they're going in.
Yeah.
Now, having said that, like, they get really nice synergy with Cad Bane's identity.
And they do. Well, that was kind of where the problem lies, is that they weren't able to actually get any wounds out, except for that one turn into the Handmaidens. But other than that, they, like, even when both of them were going into a character who had already taken 3 damage, like Sabe at the end, they just couldn't get that final
That was,
bit.
yeah. The protection really came in clutch there as well.
And the disarm.
Damage, and then the protection basically brought it down to 2. Like, you went from needing to deal, I think, 6 damage, and you only dealt 4 because of protection.
Yeah, and the disarm was definitely not doing me any favors there either. Like, that was not great for them. So they weren't in a great spot to shine, but I felt a little down on them. On the other hand, Aura Singh did really, really well.
I'm super impressed with Aura Singh.
I think she seems really good. Double the contract, double the payout, and hit and run are both really good abilities. It's interesting that they've designed it so you're not able to use them together, because they're both reactives triggering on the same event.
Yeah.
So you can't use them both on the same turn, and I think that's really unique and interesting. So I'm interested to see where she's going to end up seeing play, but I do think she's pretty solid. She throws good.
I really
dice,
liked her. I mean, her first activation, it kind of fell a little flat.
Yeah.
But after that, every activation following that was just money.
Oh, like, she was fantastic.
She did stuff, right?
Like, this side of the board, she was really my only model over here.
She soloed pawns in the ARPs.
Yep.
Right?
No, she did fantastic.
Yeah. And I never wounded her.
Yep.
Right?
No, she survived the entire time, which, I mean, on one hand, I think might have just been dice not going your way, and also the fact that it was pawns in the ARP shooting her.
Dice only go so far sometimes, right?
But the other thing is her conversion chart, 1 to 2 successes, or 1 to 2 expertise, is a block and downgrade a crit to a fail.
Yeah, and that's a really nice bit of expertise.
That's fantastic for a secondary that's throwing 5 dice as well. Like, she's really good.
I dig Aura Singh a lot. Cad Bane was a perennial thorn in my side this game too.
Cad Bane had one really, really good turn, and then he had one kind of meh turn near the end. And he only had 2 turns, I think, this game.
He soaked a lot of damage.
He did soak a decent amount of damage.
And he was constantly moving forward.
the first turn being able to fling
he
him
was
up
like
the
already
board.
here before you even activated him.
Yeah, and it's a little force hungry to do that, but I do think it's a really good ability being able to pull him up like that.
I liked it a lot. Yeah.
My biggest problem with Bane right now is just that I think only bringing 2 force to the table is a little low, even with such a powerful force refresh mechanic.
Yeah, because by the time you got around to the super commandos, you had no force
And
to
it
play
didn't
with.
help that in the early turns I wasn't able to get any damage to stick on any of your guys, so I wasn't getting any wounds, so I wasn't able to refresh any of my force. Like it wasn't until like Maul came out that I actually started knocking characters down, and of course Maul as always.
Now, in all fairness, this is my board at the end of the state. I mean, wounded, double wounded, wounded.
Yep.
And like some good damage on Sabe, a little bit on Ponzo. You did actually get a lot of good damage through.
I did end up getting a good chunk through, and I mean I attribute a lot of that to a combination of Aura, Maul, and Django. Django did so much.
Django's so good.
Django. So I think this was maybe second, but I honestly think first time I played Django, and oh my god, he's amazing.
Django's good.
Django's
I like
fantastic.
Django. Yeah. Okay. So that was the bounty hunter squad. Let's talk quickly about Amidala and her squad.
Yeah.
I am super pumped.
They seem really good.
I felt like every time any of them activated, they did something important.
It was meaningful.
Amidala just basically going, it's like, you take 2 damage.
Yep.
Like massively. I took out Bane that way.
That
right?
coordinated fire for the guaranteed 2 damage is huge.
Yeah, like there was that one attack into Bane where it's just like, I just need to look at you and you die.
Yeah.
Like, and just throw some conditions on you. It was like, I don't even care at this point. So that was friggin' awesome. Royal Command, making a whole unit. Like every character in a unit just advance.
Really, really strong leadership thing.
Super, like that's Rex's thing on crack.
Yeah,
almost, right?
No, for sure. Well, being able to do it to a full unit is just fantastic.
Yeah, like crack shot, really good. Like just basically doing a focus, get on the line, crack shot, and just bam, like into Django.
Crack
right?
shot also seems really, really good.
And then Servant of the People. I mean, I flipped over, and that was very important because it flipped a point for me.
Like, it did.
That's huge, and that's actually been one of my biggest problems with this game is that I always end up in points where like my guys do nothing because they're wounded.
Yeah.
Honestly, like Amidala might be making so many of my Republic lists.
I think she's really, really good. I think, and also kind of pairing with her, the Handmaidens hit like trucks early game.
Do they? Yeah. Well, I think the Handmaidens hit like trucks because they, if you're in the right stance, you're adding an extra attack die to it, right? And if they're able to focus, like all of a sudden their support's throwing 7 dice.
Yeah, and I'm looking at their tree right now, and it isn't actually that impressive of a tree, but they just seem very consistently getting like 3 or 4 results into the tree.
They did a lot of work for me.
They were pretty consistently getting most of their tree.
Oh, and if you get the exposed flank, give them sharpshooter as well, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, like they can throw a deceptive amount of dice.
Oh yeah,
out there.
And I think the pairing with the ARC troopers worked really well for you as well. Being able to toss out some exposes and stuff worked really nicely.
Yep.
And of course, Mace Windu making them impossible to deal damage or shove anyone around in the early turns.
Mace was
Last
a beast
game,
this game.
I felt he didn't do all that much. This game, he was MVP for you, or right up there with Cad Bane.
I don't know if I'd say MVP. I think the Handmaiden Amidala team is like in general, but Mace gave me so much breathing room.
He did
to work with, right? Because he came in and every one of his attacks was very meaningful.
Yep,
I think. I love Shatterpointing with him.
Yeah,
that was
really good.
Fun
because you didn't get to do that last time. I don't think.
I didn't.
This time you did.
I think I did it twice this time.
You might have, yeah.
Because I Shatterpointed with him.
It was just the second time it didn't actually matter because you had nothing to recover.
Yeah, because unfortunately I was on his other side, but still, like Shatterpointing with Mace, like he gets work done.
He does.
I really like this combination. This is a really solid combination, I think. Sabe is really cool as well. Like again with the exposed flank, the loyal protectors, just getting a bunch of handmaidens to dash around.
Yep,
that sort of stuff. Coordinated assault is okay. It's basically coordinated fire with a dash.
Yeah, okay, that's interesting. Yeah,
it's interesting. I don't mind it. I think it's kind of cool. It's a great way of getting her into position. And then of course she's got bodyguard, so she just gives out cover to primary and secondary units all over the place. So. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Amidala and her handmaidens. Like I was not expecting that going into the game, and I dig them a lot.
Padme seems really fun.
Yeah, no, that's quite a good thing. ARF troopers continue to be really impressive.
ARF troopers are fantastic. They put the 501st to shame.
Do they ever? And I would say this has probably been one of the more lackluster games for the Super Commandos we've seen.
Yeah, they kind of got screwed into a position where they had to stick around the back point in the early turn and in their
They were
first
your last
activation.
activation, weren't they?
They were the first activation in the new struggle too, I think.
Yeah, so
So they were stuck back there. They didn't get to really get involved with the game. And honestly, I kind of knew going into this that they weren't going to be super relevant because I didn't bring anything that synergizes with them. It was just them.
yeah, no,
And I mean, in theory, the payday helps with that, but like they didn't
even
have
the
support.
B1s might have been more interesting.
Possibly, yeah. Well, and it was a 4 point slot. I mainly picked them for the thematics of like this is
True.
Maul when he's running around with the criminal syndicate.
Yeah.
But
No, very, very true. Either way, I think it made for a very cool game. As always, I love rolling dice with you, man.
yeah, thanks for having me.
I think this game was a lot of fun, and you guys can look forward to some more games. We still need to get the Night Sisters on the table at some point, so you can look forward to that. And of course, leave your comments below. Let us know what you like, don't like, all that sort of stuff, what you want to see on the channel, and of course, if you want to support the channel, patreon.com/AgesBrandStudios. We'll see you next time. Happy wargaming.